There are moments that divide your life into before and after. For Thandiwe, that moment came at a wedding where she sat alone, humiliated, watching the man who abandoned her marry someone else. She was ready to leave, ready to escape the whispers and pitying looks. Then a man sat down next to her. Handsome didn't cover it. He was the kind of attractive that felt dangerous. And when he reached for her hand, without introduction, without explanation, Thandiwe's brain screamed at her to move away, but her body froze, especially when he spoke. "Act like you're mine." His voice was calm, certain, like he expected obedience. And when the entire wedding went silent, when people started staring with something that looked like fear, Thandiwe understood. This wasn't just a man. This was someone powerful. Someone everyone in Seoul's elite circles knew. Someone her ex-boyfriend was terrified of. She didn't know his name, didn't know why he chose her, didn't know what game she'd just entered. But for the first time in 18 months, Thandiwe didn't feel broken. She felt dangerous, and that feeling was addictive. Thandiwe knew coming to this wedding was a mistake the moment she walked through the hotel doors. The lobby was filled with people in expensive clothes, their laughter echoing off marble floors. Everyone seemed to know everyone. She recognized a few faces from her event planning work, but none of them looked at her like they remembered. They looked at her like she was lost. She wasn't lost. She wished she was. Her phone buzzed in her clutch, her best friend Amara calling again. Thandiwe declined it. Amara had spent 2 hours this morning trying to talk her out of coming. "Girl, why are you doing this to yourself? He's not worth it. Stay home, eat ice cream, watch something ridiculous on Netflix." But Thandiwe came anyway. She told herself it was about closure, about proving she was fine, about showing Minho that he hadn't broken her when he left. She was lying to herself. She knew it. But sometimes lies were easier than the truth. The wedding hall was decorated in white and gold, roses everywhere. She had planned events like this 100 times. She knew exactly how much everything cost, how many hours of work went into making it look effortless. The irony wasn't lost on her. She used to dream Minho would marry her in a place like this. Now, he was marrying someone else. Thandiwe found a seat in the back row, away from the crowd. Her green dress stood out among all the pastels and neutrals. She'd chosen it on purpose. If she was going to show up, she wasn't going to disappear. A woman in the row ahead turned around, looked her up and down, then whispered something to her companion. They both glanced back. Thandiwe's stomach tightened. She kept her face calm. 5 years in Seoul had taught her how to ignore stares. The ceremony started. Music played. Everyone stood. The bride appeared at the end of the aisle in a dress that probably cost more than Thandiwe's car. No, wait, she couldn't think like that. She forced herself to look. Lee Yuna, 25 years old, daughter of a hotel chain owner, perfect skin, perfect hair, perfect family. Everything Thandiwe apparently wasn't. Yuna walked down the aisle on her father's arm, smiling like she'd won the lottery. Maybe she had. Minho was handsome, successful, connected. He came from a good family. He knew all the right people. He was also a coward who'd sent Thandiwe a breakup text after 3 years together. The text had been short. "I'm sorry. My family needs me to make a different choice. I hope you understand." She didn't understand. She still didn't. Yuna reached the front. Minho stood there in his tuxedo, grinning like an idiot. Like he hadn't promised Thandiwe forever just 18 months ago. Like he hadn't looked her in the eyes and said, "You're the only one I want." Thandiwe's eyes started burning. No, absolutely not. She was not going to cry at this man's wedding. More whispers around her. She caught fragments. Is that her? The African girl he used to date? I can't believe she actually came. How embarrassing. Her hands clenched in her lap. This was a mistake, a huge mistake. She should leave, just stand up and walk out. But her body wouldn't move. Some stubborn part of her refused to run. The officiant started talking, all the usual words about love and commitment and forever. Thandiwe wanted to laugh or scream, maybe both. Then someone sat down next to her. She didn't look at first. The ceremony had started. Everyone else was standing. Whoever it was had terrible timing. You look like you'd rather be anywhere else, a man's voice said quietly. Deep voice. Calm. Thandiwe glanced over, then forgot how to breathe. The man next to her was possibly the most handsome person she'd ever seen in real life. Sharp jawline, dark eyes, black hair styled perfectly. He wore a black suit that fit him like it was made for his body specifically. But it wasn't his looks that made her forget to breathe. It was the way everyone in their section had suddenly gone quiet. People were staring, not at her this time, at him. I'm sorry. Do I know you? Thandiwe whispered. He didn't smile, just looked at her with those dark, unreadable eyes. No, but in about 30 seconds, everyone here is going to think you do. What are you talking about? Those people whispering about you, the ones making you want to disappear. He tilted his head slightly. Do you want them to stop? Thandiwe blinked. Obviously, but I don't see how. Act like you're mine. She stared at him. Excuse me? Before she could process what was happening, he reached over and took her hand. Just like that. His fingers wrapped around hers, warm and steady. The whisper stopped. Just completely stopped. Thandiwe looked around. Every single person who'd been gossiping was now staring with wide eyes. The woman in front of her looked like she'd seen a ghost. What's happening? Thandiwe whispered. They know who I am, the man said simply. And now they think you're with me, which means they won't bother you anymore. Who are you? Someone they're afraid of. That should have scared her. It really should have. But his hand felt solid and real, and for the first time since she walked into this wedding, she didn't feel completely alone. Why are you helping me? She asked. Maybe I like ruining people's assumptions. His thumb brushed against her knuckle. Or maybe I need a favor too. We can discuss it later. For now, just sit here and let me hold your hand. This was insane. Thandiwe should pull away, thank him politely, and maintain her dignity on her own. But his hand felt nice, and everyone had stopped whispering. So she let him hold her hand, while her ex-boyfriend married someone else. The ceremony continued. Thandiwe barely heard any of it. She was too aware of the stranger next to her, the weight of all those stares, the way her heart was doing something complicated in her chest. When the officiant said, "You may kiss the bride," Thandiwe looked away. She focused on a flower arrangement to the left of the altar, counted the roses. 23, 24, 25. Breathe, the man next to her said quietly. She realized she'd been holding her breath. She let it out slowly. I'm fine, she whispered. I know, but breathe anyway. Everyone started clapping. The ceremony was over. Minho and Yuna walked back down the aisle as husband and wife. When they passed Thandiwe's row, Minho's eyes caught hers. His smile faltered, just for a second. Then he saw the man next to her, saw their joined hands. Minho went pale. Yuna tugged him along, oblivious, but Minho kept looking back, his expression somewhere between shocked and terrified. The stranger next to Thandiwe smiled. It wasn't a nice smile. Friend of yours? He asked. Ex-boyfriend, obviously. Ah, the groom. That explains why you looked like you wanted the ground to swallow you whole. I didn't look that bad. You looked exactly that bad. He stood up, still holding her hand, and gently pulled her to her feet. Come on, reception time. That's when this gets interesting. Thandiwe should definitely let go of his hand now. They were standing. The ceremony was over. Whatever strange rescue mission this was could end. But he was right. The reception was going to be worse. At the ceremony, people just watched. At the reception, they'd talk to her, ask questions, pretend to be friendly while sharpening their knives. "I don't even know your name," she said. "Kwak Tai Yun." He said it like she should recognize it. She didn't. "I'm Thandiwe Moyo." "I know." "How do you know?" He didn't answer. Just started walking toward the reception hall, still holding her hand, moving through the crowd like he owned the place. People jumped out of his way. Okay, that was weird. Really weird. If you're enjoying this drama so far, drop a comment and let me know what you think. I read every single one, and your thoughts mean everything. Stick around because this story is about to get wild. The reception hall was even more elaborate than the ceremony space. Round tables with silk cloths, centerpieces that probably cost a fortune, a live band setting up in the corner. Thandiwe had been to dozens of weddings like this. She never got used to how much money people spent on one day. Tai Yun led her to a table near the front, not the back, not hidden away, right where everyone could see. "We're sitting here?" Thandiwe asked. "We are. But this is for family and close friends. I was invited. So were you, apparently." He pulled out her chair. Thandiwe sat down because she didn't know what else to do. Her brain was trying to catch up with everything happening. Tae Yun sat next to her, completely relaxed, like crashing someone's wedding reception in the VIP section was normal for him. "Okay, you need to explain what's going on," Thandiwe said. "Right now. Who are you? Why is everyone acting like you're royalty or something?" "Or something," Tae Yun agreed. "That's not an answer. I own several businesses in Seoul. My family is well known. These people," he gestured vaguely at the room, "want things from me. Connections, deals, opportunities. So they pay attention when I show up places. And when you show up holding someone's hand, they pay even more attention." A waiter appeared with champagne. His hand shook slightly as he set the glasses down. He bowed to Tai Yun, deeper than necessary, and hurried away. "He's afraid of you," Thandiwe observed. "Probably." "Why?" Tai Yun picked up his champagne glass, studied it. "Does it matter?" "Yes, it matters. You can't just grab a stranger's hand and expect them to play along without explaining why waiters look at you like you might kill them." He laughed, actually laughed. It transformed his whole face. "I'm not going to kill anyone, today at least. That's not funny. It's a little funny. It's really not." He set down the glass and looked at her directly. "Thandiwe, that's Zimbabwean, right? Don't change the subject." "I'm not. I'm trying to understand who you are. You're from Zimbabwe. You've been in Seoul for what, 5 years? How do you know that?" He smiled, didn't answer. Thandiwe's stomach did a small flip. "Have you been stalking me?" "Stalking is such an ugly word. I noticed you. There's a difference." He paused. "I've seen you at events before. You're an event planner. You're good at your job. You're always professional, always composed. But today you looked broken. I wanted to know why. So you decided to sit next to me and grab my hand?" "Yes. That's not normal behavior." "I'm not a normal person." Before Thandiwe could respond, someone approached their table. A middle-aged man in an expensive suit, his smile tight and nervous. "Mr. Kwak," the man said, bowing. "What a pleasant surprise. I didn't know you'd be attending." "Mr. Park," Tae Yun said coolly, "congratulations on your daughter's wedding." So this was Yuna's father, the hotel chain owner. He looked at Thandiwe like he was trying to figure out a complicated puzzle. "Thank you," Mr. Park said. "And who is your lovely companion?" "This is Thandiwe," Tae Yun said before she could answer. "We came together." Mr. Park's expression flickered. Confusion, maybe concern. I see. How wonderful. I hope you both enjoy the reception. He backed away. Actually backed away, like he didn't want to turn his back on Tae-yun. Okay, that was bizarre, Thandiwe said once he was gone. That was normal. In what universe is that normal? Tae-yun leaned back in his chair, completely at ease. In my universe, people are careful around me. They want my approval. They definitely don't want my disapproval. And grabbing my hand gives you what, exactly? Protection from the 5 women here whose families want them to marry me. Thandiwe blinked. What? See the woman in the blue dress? Her father owns a construction company. He's been trying to arrange a meeting between us for 6 months. The one in pink? Her mother is on the board of 3 hospitals. She's been not so subtly suggesting her daughter and I would make a good match. He pointed out 3 more women scattered around the room. All of them are here today, hoping I'll notice them. Now, I've shown up with you, which means they'll back off. For a while, anyway. So I'm your shield. And I'm yours. Fair trade, don't you think? Thandiwe had to admit, it was kind of brilliant. And the women he pointed out were all watching their table with obvious frustration. You could have asked first, she pointed out. Would you have said yes? Probably not. Exactly. He picked up his champagne again. Sometimes it's better to ask forgiveness than permission. That's a terrible philosophy. It's worked well for me so far. The band started playing. People began moving around, chatting, laughing. The bride and groom made their entrance to applause. Thandiwe tried not to watch Minho, but it was hard when he kept glancing at her table. He's scared, Tae-yun observed. Of what? Me. He recognizes me. He knows what it means that you're sitting here. And what does it mean? Tae-yun smiled that not quite nice smile again. That you're under my protection. That anyone who hurts you will have to deal with me. A shiver ran down Thandiwe's spine, not entirely from fear. Dinner was served. Multiple courses, each one more elaborate than the last. Thandiwe picked at her food. She wasn't hungry. She was too busy trying to figure out what game she'd accidentally become part of. Tae-yun ate slowly, perfectly polite, but she noticed his eyes constantly moving, watching the room, tracking people, like he was always aware of everything happening around him. You're paranoid, she said. Cautious. Same thing. Not even close. Halfway through dinner, Minho appeared at their table. Thandiwe's stomach dropped. She'd known this was coming. Of course he'd come over. Of course he'd want to talk. Thandiwe, Minho said. His smile was forced. I'm glad you could make it. Liar. He looked the opposite of glad. Congratulations, Thandiwe said. Her voice came out steady. Good. Minho's eyes darted to Tae-yun, then back to her. I didn't know you were bringing someone. Why would you know? We're not exactly in touch. Right, of course. He shifted his weight. I just thought you'd be here alone. Well, I'm not. Minho looked at Tae-yun again, waiting for an introduction, probably. Tae-yun just looked back, silent, unsmiling. The silence stretched out, got awkward. Minho's ears turned red. I should get back to Yuna, Minho finally said. But maybe we could talk later. Catch up? I don't think so, Thandiwe said. Right, sure, of course. Minho backed away, just like Mr. Park had. Like Tae-yun was something dangerous he didn't want to provoke. Once he was gone, Thandiwe let out a breath she didn't know she'd been holding. That was your ex, Tae-yun said. Not a question. Yep. He's an idiot. Yep. You're better off. I know. Tae-yun turned to look at her properly. Then why did you come today? Thandiwe stared at her untouched plate. I don't know. Maybe I needed to see it. To make it real. He's actually married to someone else. It's actually over. It was over when he sent you that pathetic breakup text. She looked up sharply. How do you know about that? I pay attention. That's creepy. That's thorough. He leaned forward slightly. Thandiwe, I'm going to be honest with you. I didn't sit next to you today just to help you out. I figured. I have a proposition. Here we go. Hear me out. He glanced around the room. These people think we're together now. The rumors will start tonight, spread by tomorrow. By next week, all of Seoul's social circles will assume we're dating. Okay, so we tell them we're not. Or we don't. Thandiwe frowned. What are you suggesting? A mutually beneficial arrangement. We pretend to date. For, say, 1 month. You get the satisfaction of your ex seeing you've moved on with someone successful. You get access to my social circle, which could help your event planning business, and I get those marriage-hungry families off my back for a while. You want a fake date? Yes. That's ridiculous. That's practical. Thandiwe laughed. She couldn't help it. This is not a K-drama. People don't actually do this in real life. I'm doing it right now. The question is whether you'll join me. She should say no. Obviously. This was weird and complicated, and probably a terrible idea. But she looked across the room and saw Minho watching them again. Saw the concern on his face, the confusion, maybe even jealousy. And she felt something she hadn't felt in 18 months. Powerful. I need to think about it, she said. Fair enough. Tae-yun pulled out his phone, typed something, then showed her the screen, his contact information. Think fast. The offer expires when this reception ends. Why the time limit? Because by tomorrow, people will be talking. It's easier to commit to the story now than to try to build it later. He had a point. A weird, manipulative point, but still a point. The reception continued around them. Speeches, toasts, the first dance. Thandiwe watched it all in a daze. Her brain kept circling back to Tae-yun's offer. 1 month. That wasn't long. She could handle 1 month. And her business was struggling. She'd lost 3 major clients in the past 2 months. Contracts canceled at the last minute. No explanations given. Having access to Tae-yun's network could change everything. But something felt off about all of this. Too convenient. Too perfect. Why me? She asked suddenly. Tae-yun had been watching the dance floor. He turned to her. What? Why me specifically? You could have sat next to anyone today. Could have grabbed any woman's hand. Why mine? He was quiet for a moment. Then he said, You looked like you needed saving. That's not an answer. It's the one you're getting. For now. The reception started winding down. Guests began leaving. The bride and groom made their rounds, thanking people for coming. When Yuna and Minho reached their table, Yuna smiled brightly at Tae-yun. Mr. Kwok, thank you so much for coming. It's an honor to have you here. She completely ignored Thandiwe. Congratulations, Tae-yun said politely. He didn't stand up. Yuna's smile wavered slightly. I hope you enjoyed everything. Daddy spared no expense. I noticed. Minho was staring at Thandiwe again. She met his eyes steadily. Didn't smile, didn't frown, just looked at him like he was a stranger. Because he kind of was now. We should go, Minho said to Yuna, touching her elbow. But we haven't properly met Mr. Kwok's date, Yuna said. She finally looked at Thandiwe. Her smile was sharp. I don't think I caught your name. Thandiwe. What an unusual name. Are you from Seoul? Zimbabwe, originally. Oh. How exotic. The way Yuna said it made it sound like an insult. And how did you meet Mr. Kwok? Before Thandiwe could answer, Tae-yun stood up. He moved next to Thandiwe's chair, his hand coming to rest on her shoulder. The touch felt possessive, protective. We met through mutual connections, Tae-yun said. His voice was perfectly polite, but something in it made Yuna take a small step back. Thandiwe and I have known each other for a while now. Minho's face did something complicated. A while? Long enough, Tae-yun said. The implication hung in the air. Long enough that maybe Thandiwe had moved on while Minho was still with her. Long enough that maybe she hadn't been pining over him at all. It wasn't true, but Minho didn't know that. Well, it's lovely to meet you, Yuna said to Thandiwe. Her smile was frozen now. I hope you both have a wonderful evening. She dragged Minho away. Tae-yun's hand was still on Thandiwe's shoulder. She could feel the warmth of it through her dress. You're good at this, she said quietly. Practice. How much practice? More than you want to know. He removed his hand, and she immediately missed the warmth. Have you decided? Thandiwe looked around the reception hall one more time, saw the wealth, the power, the people who'd whispered about her earlier, now watching her with curiosity instead of contempt. Saw Minho across the room, his new wife on his arm, but his eyes still tracking Thandiwe. She pulled out her phone and saved Tae-yun's contact information. 1 month, she said. 1 month, he agreed. And we need rules, boundaries. This is business, not real. Of course. I'm serious, Tae-yun. This can't get messy. He smiled. I promise you, Thandiwe, whatever this gets, messy is the least of your concerns. That should have warned her off. Should have made her delete his number and walk away. But she didn't. Instead, she shook his hand like they were sealing a business deal. His grip was firm and warm, and sent electricity up her arm. I'll call you tomorrow, he said. We'll discuss the details. Fine. He walked her to her car. Actually walked her through the hotel, through the lobby, all the way to the parking garage. People stared the entire way. Phones came out. Pictures were definitely being taken. At her car, Tae-yun opened her door for her. You don't have to do that, Thandiwe said. People are watching. Might as well give them a show. Right. A show. That's all this was. She got in her car. He closed the door gently, leaned down to her open window. Drive safe, he said. Then he was gone, walking to his own car. A sleek black thing that probably cost more than she made in a year. No, she wouldn't think like that. Thandiwe sat in her car for a full 5 minutes before starting the engine. What had she just agreed to? Her phone rang. Amara, she answered. Hey, girl, did you just agree to fake date a potentially dangerous crime lord? Thandiwe froze. How do you know about that already? Because you're trending on Instagram. There are literally 12 posts about you and Kwak Tae-yun at that wedding. Who is he? What's happening? Why didn't you tell me you knew him? I don't know him. I just met him today. Amara made a strangled sound. You met him today, and you're fake dating him? Thandiwe. It's complicated. Obviously it's complicated. Do you know who he is? Did you even Google him? No, should I? Yes. Oh my God, yes. I'm sending you links. Read them. Tonight. Before you do anything else. Amara, you're overreacting. I'm really not. Just read the articles. Call me after. I'll be up. She hung up. 30 seconds later, Thandiwe's phone buzzed with incoming messages. Links, articles, photos. She clicked the first one. Her stomach dropped. Kwak Tae-yun wasn't just a businessman. His family owned half of Seoul's nightlife district. They had connections to politicians, judges, police. There were rumors, allegations. Nothing proven, but enough smoke to suggest fire. Some articles called him a legitimate businessman trying to distance himself from his family's past. Others called him the most dangerous man in Seoul. Thandiwe sat in her car, reading article after article, watching her nice, simple fake dating plan turn into something much more complicated. Her phone buzzed again, a text from an unknown number. Sleep well, Thandiwe. Tomorrow, your life changes. It was from Tae-yun. She stared at the message for a long time. Then she started her car and drove home, wondering what she'd just gotten herself into. Thandiwe didn't sleep. She spent the entire night reading everything she could find about Kwak Tai-yun and his family. The more she read, the worse it got. His grandfather had built an empire in the 1970s. Nightclubs, bars, entertainment districts. Money came from everywhere and nowhere. By the 1990s, the Kwak family name meant power in Seoul, the kind of power that made politicians nervous and police look the other way. Tai-yun's father had expanded the business, made it look legitimate, opened restaurants, invested in real estate, donated to charities. But the rumors never stopped. Then Tai-yun took over 5 years ago when his father died. Young, smart, educated abroad. Some articles painted him as a reformer, trying to clean up the family business. Others suggested he was just better at hiding the dirt. There were photos of him at charity galas, business conferences, art exhibitions, always alone, always watching, never smiling quite right. One article called him Seoul's most eligible bachelor and most untouchable mystery. Another said, women want him, men fear him, and nobody really knows him. Thandiwe closed her laptop at 4 a.m. and stared at her ceiling. What had she done? Her phone buzzed. A text from Tai-yun. Breakfast tomorrow, 10 a.m. I'll send a car. Not a question, a statement. She should cancel, should tell him she changed her mind, should run far away from whatever this was. Instead, she texted back, I can drive myself. The car will be there at 9:45. Wear something nice. We're being seen. Right. Being seen. Because this was all performance. She tried to sleep but kept seeing Minho's face when he saw her with Tai-yun. The shock, the concern, maybe even regret. That felt good. It shouldn't, but it did. At 9:30, Thandiwe stood in front of her closet having a crisis. Wear something nice, Tai-yun had said. But what did that mean? Nice for a casual breakfast, or nice for a performance? She settled on a yellow sundress and white sneakers. Casual, but put together. Her natural hair was in twists she'd done 2 days ago. They still looked good. At exactly 9:45, her doorbell rang. She opened it to find a man in a black suit standing there. Young, serious face, earpiece in one ear. A bodyguard. Miss Moyo, he said with a slight bow. I'm here to drive you to meet Mr. Kwak. I can drive myself, Mr. Kwak insisted. Of course he did. The car was black and expensive looking. Not a limo, thank God. Just a very nice sedan. The bodyguard opened the back door for her. Thandiwe got in and immediately felt out of place. The interior was all leather and wood. It smelled expensive. They drove through Seoul in silence. The bodyguard didn't try to make conversation. Thandiwe watched the city pass by and wondered if she was making the biggest mistake of her life. They pulled up to a restaurant in Gangnam. Not a huge, flashy place, actually kind of small and understated. But there were already photographers outside. Thandiwe's stomach flipped. Why are there cameras? Mr. Kwak is news, the bodyguard said simply. Always. Great, just great. The bodyguard got out first, opened her door. The cameras immediately started clicking. Flashes everywhere. Thandiwe stepped out trying to look calm, like this was normal, like she had photographers following her all the time. The bodyguard led her inside. The restaurant was beautiful. Traditional Korean design mixed with modern touches. Only a few tables. Very private. Tai-yun sat at a table by the window. He stood when he saw her. He was wearing casual clothes, black jeans, white shirt, no tie. He looked different than yesterday, softer somehow, but his eyes were just as watchful. You came, he said. You sent a car and a bodyguard. Didn't feel like I had much choice. You always have a choice. Do I? He smiled slightly. Sit. Let's eat first. Then we'll argue about free will. The table already had food. Lots of food. Traditional Korean breakfast dishes, fresh fruit, coffee, tea. You ordered for me, Thandiwe asked. I ordered everything. You can pick what you want. She sat down. This is a lot. I didn't know what you liked. You know enough about me to send a car to my apartment, but not what I like for breakfast? I know where you live and where you work, and that you've been in Seoul for 5 years. I don't know if you prefer rice or bread in the morning. That's weirdly specific knowledge to have about a stranger. We're not strangers anymore. We're dating, remember? Right. Dating. Fake dating. Thando picked up a piece of fruit. Those photographers outside, you called them? No, but I knew they'd be here. How? Because I'm always news. Where I go, what I do, who I'm with, it's constant. He poured her tea. You need to decide now if you can handle that. Handle what? Cameras. Questions. People digging into your life. Comments online. Some of them will be cruel. Thandiwe's hand tightened on her chopsticks. Because I'm black. Yes. At least he was honest about it. I've lived in Seoul for 5 years, she said quietly. I know what people think. I've heard the comments, had the stares, been refused service at restaurants, followed in stores, asked where I'm really from when I speak Korean. And you stayed anyway. I love this city. I'm not letting ignorant people chase me away from a place I love. Tae-yun studied her. You're tougher than you look. You have no idea. They ate in comfortable silence for a while. The food was incredible. Thandiwe tried a little of everything. So what's the plan? She asked finally. How does this fake dating thing actually work? We're seen together regularly. Dinners, events, casual outings. I introduce you to my business circle. You come to important functions as my date. We act like a couple in public. And in private. In private, we're business partners. Clear boundaries. No confusion. That should have reassured her. It didn't. For 1 month, she said. 1 month. Then we stage a quiet breakup. Very amicable. We stay friends. No drama. And in that month, you help my business? I'll introduce you to people who need event planners. The rest is up to you. I can open doors. You have to walk through them. Fair enough. What do you get out of this besides avoiding marriage-minded families? Thandiwe asked. Tae-yun set down his tea. Honestly, a break. Everyone in my life wants something from me. Business deals, favors, connections, marriage alliances. You're the first person in years who didn't approach me wanting anything. I didn't approach you at all. You sat next to me. Exactly. You didn't even know who I was. Do you know how rare that is? Thandiwe could imagine. So, I'm your escape from your life. And I'm yours from your past. We're using each other. But honestly, no lies. She appreciated the honesty, even if the situation was absurd. Okay, she said. I'm in. For 1 month. But we need rules. Name them. No kissing. He raised an eyebrow. We might have to kiss. For appearances. Her face got hot. Fine. For appearances only. Nothing else. Agreed. No lying to each other. Even if we're lying to everyone else. Agreed. And when this is over, we end it cleanly. No mess. No hard feelings. Of course. He held out his hand across the table. Deal? She shook his hand. His grip was firm, warm. Something electric passed between them. Thandiwe pulled her hand back quickly. Just business, she reminded herself. Just 1 month. After breakfast, Tae-yun walked her outside. The photographers were still there. More of them now. Smile, Tae-yun said quietly. Look happy. Thandiwe smiled. It felt fake, but probably looked real enough. Tae-yun opened the car door for her. Before she got in, he touched her cheek. Just briefly. A gentle, intimate gesture. The cameras went crazy. Thandao's heart hammered. Was that necessary? Very, he said. Then he smiled, and this time it looked real. I'll call you later. We have a function tomorrow night. I'll send dress options. I can pick my own dress. I know, but I'm sending options anyway. He closed her door. The car pulled away. Thandiwe looked back. Tai Yun stood on the sidewalk, hands in his pockets, watching her leave. The photographers swarmed him, but he ignored them. Her phone started buzzing before they'd gone 2 blocks. Amara calling. Thandiwe answered. Hey, girl, you're on the internet, like everywhere. Breakfast with Kwok Tai Yun? He touched your face? What is happening? We're fake dating. Yes, you said that yesterday. But it looks very real in these photos. That's the point. Thandiwe, I'm worried. Did you read the articles I sent? All of them. And you're still doing this. It's 1 month, Amara. 1 month of fancy dinners and getting my business back on track. Then it's over. Or you end up in over your head with a man whose family is connected to half the crime in Seoul. You're being dramatic. I'm being realistic. Just please be careful, okay? I'm always careful. No, you're always stubborn. There's a difference. After Amara hung up, Thandiwe scrolled through social media. Amara wasn't exaggerating. She and Tai Yun were everywhere. Mystery woman has breakfast with Seoul's most eligible bachelor. Who is Thandiwe Moyo? Kwok Tai Yun spotted with African beauty? The comments were mixed. Some people thought she was pretty. Others asked who she was. And some she made the mistake of reading the bad ones. Gold digger. What does he see in her? She doesn't belong in his world. Probably just a fling. He'd never seriously date someone like her. Thandiwe closed the app. She'd known this would happen, had prepared herself for it. It still hurt. That night, a package arrived at her apartment. 3 dresses, all designer, all in her exact size. How did Tai Yun know her size? She tried on all 3. They fit perfectly. She chose a deep blue one. Simple, elegant, made her skin look amazing. The next evening, the bodyguard picked her up again. This time she was ready for the cameras. The function was at a luxury hotel, some kind of charity gala. Thandiwe had planned events like this before, had worked them, never attended as a guest. Tai Yun met her at the entrance. He wore a dark suit that made him look dangerous and sophisticated at the same time. You look beautiful, he said. It's the dress you sent. It's you. He offered his arm. Ready? Not even a little bit. But she took his arm anyway. Walking into that gala on Tai Yun's arm felt like entering a different world. Everyone stopped talking when they appeared. Just stopped and stared. Then the whispers started. Tai Yun seemed unbothered. He guided her through the room, introducing her to people whose names she'd only seen in newspapers. CEOs, politicians, artists, old money families. Everyone was polite to her face, but she felt the judgment underneath. Thandiwe plans luxury events, Tai Yun told a woman who owned a chain of department stores. She's the best in Seoul. The woman looked Thandiwe up and down. Really? I've never heard of you. I usually work behind the scenes, Thandiwe said smoothly. I prefer letting the events speak for themselves. How modest. The woman's smile was cold. And how did you meet Tai Yun? Through mutual friends, Tai Yun said before Thandiwe could answer. His hand pressed against the small of her back. Possessive. We've known each other for a while. The woman's eyes narrowed. How interesting. I didn't know you had friends, Tai Yun. I'm full of surprises. They moved on. Thandiwe's head was spinning from all the names and faces. That woman hated me, she said quietly. She hates everyone. Don't take it personally. Her daughter is one of the women who wants to marry you, isn't she? Very perceptive. They stopped at the bar. Tai Yun ordered champagne. While they waited, a man approached. Older, distinguished looking. He smiled at Tae-yun, but it didn't reach his eyes. Tae-yun, good to see you. Mr. Cho. Tae-yun's voice went cooler. I heard interesting rumors about you. Seems they're true. Mr. Cho looked at Thandiwe. You must be special. Tae-yun doesn't bring dates to these things. I'm very lucky, Thandiwe said. Indeed. Mr. Cho's smile sharpened. Your family must be pleased, Tae-yun. I'll have to ask your grandmother about it. Something shifted in Tae-yun's expression. My grandmother's opinions are her own. Of course. Still, family is important. Don't you agree? Completely. The tension between them was thick enough to cut. Mr. Cho finally walked away. Who was that? Thandiwe asked. Someone who should mind his own business. He mentioned your grandmother. She's complicated. You'll meet her eventually. Probably sooner than I'd like. That sounded ominous. The evening continued. Dinner was served. Speeches were made. Thandiwe sat next to Tae-yun at a table with people who barely acknowledged her existence, except for one woman. She sat across from them, stunning in a red dress, and stared at Tae-yun like Thandiwe was invisible. Park Hye-jin, the woman finally said, looking at Thandiwe. And you are? Thandiwe Moyo. What an unusual name. Are you a model? Event planner. Oh, Hye-jin's tone suggested event planner was code for something less respectable. How nice. Tae-yun's hand found Thandiwe's under the table, squeezed gently. Stay calm, the gesture said. Hye-jin's father owns several pharmaceutical companies, Tae-yun said. They've been trying to partner with my business for years. We're still hoping you'll consider it, Hye-jin said sweetly. Daddy thinks we'd work well together, in business, and otherwise. Oh, so this was one of the marriage candidates. I'm sure your father is disappointed then, Thandiwe said. Since Tae-yun and I are together. Hye-jin's smile went sharp. Are you? I hadn't heard anything about you until 2 days ago. That seems very sudden. We kept it private, Tae-yun said. How romantic. Hye-jin didn't sound like she thought it was romantic at all. Well, I hope you enjoy your time in Seoul, Thandiwe. I'm sure it's very different from wherever you're from. Zimbabwe. And I've been in Seoul for 5 years. I'm not visiting. 5 whole years. How permanent. The way Hye-jin said it made it clear she thought 5 years was nothing. The dinner finally ended. Thandiwe's jaw hurt from smiling through all the barely concealed hostility. Tae-yun walked her outside. The night air felt good after the stuffy ballroom. That was exhausting, Thandiwe said. You did well. Hye-jin hates me. Hye-jin hates everyone who isn't her. Don't worry about it. Easy for you to say. She wasn't looking at you like you were dirt. Tae-yun stopped walking, turned to face her. Listen to me. These people will judge you no matter what you do. You could be perfect, and they'd find something to criticize. It's not about you. It's about them protecting their world from outsiders. And I'm the ultimate outsider. Yes. Which makes you interesting, threatening. They don't know what to do with you. Lucky me, he smiled. You're tougher than all of them combined. They just don't know it yet. Something warm bloomed in Thandiv's chest. She pushed it down. This was fake. He was being nice because that was the arrangement. The car pulled up. Before Thandiwe could get in, a flash went off. Then another. Paparazzi, hiding across the street. Ignore them, Tae-yun said. But more flashes came. Questions shouted. Mr. Kwok, who is your girlfriend? How long have you been together? Is it serious? Tae-yun's bodyguards materialized from nowhere, creating a barrier. But not before Thandiwe heard one photographer yell something in Korean. She didn't catch all of it, but she heard enough. Something about her skin color. Something crude. Tae-yun heard it too. His whole body went rigid. He turned, took one step toward the photographer. The man went pale, actually stumbled backward. "Get in the car," Tae-yun said to Thandiwe. His voice was ice. "Tae-yun, now!" She got in the car. Through the window, she watched Tae-yun say something to the photographer. She couldn't hear the words, but the man's face went from pale to terrified. Tae-yun got in the car next to her. "Drive," he told the bodyguard. They pulled away. Tae-yun stared out the window, his jaw tight. "What did you say to him?" Thandiwe asked quietly. "That if he ever speaks about you like that again, he'll find his camera and his career at the bottom of the Han River. You can't threaten people. I didn't threaten him. I made a promise." The cold certainty in his voice sent a shiver down her spine. This was the other Tae-yun, the one people feared. "I can handle ignorant photographers," she said. "You shouldn't have to." They rode in silence for a while. Then Tae-yun said, "I'm sorry. I should have prepared you better for how ugly it might get. I told you, I've lived here for 5 years. I'm used to it. Being used to cruelty doesn't make it acceptable." Thandiwe looked at him, really looked at him. His jaw was still tight, anger simmering underneath his calm exterior. He was genuinely angry on her behalf. When was the last time someone had defended her like that? "Thank you," she said softly. He turned to look at her. His expression softened. "You don't have to thank me for basic human decency. In my experience, basic human decency is rarer than it should be." Something passed between them in the back of that car, something that felt too real for their fake arrangement. Thandiwe looked away first. The car pulled up to her apartment. Tae-yun got out and walked her to her door, just like yesterday. "You don't have to walk me up every time," Thandiwe said. "Yes, I do. Cameras might be watching." "Right. Cameras. The performance." At her door, she turned to say goodbye. Tae-yun was standing closer than she expected, close enough that she could smell his cologne, something clean and expensive. "Tomorrow," he said quietly. "I have a business dinner. Boring but important. Will you come?" Is that a request or a requirement? A request. Always a request. Then yes, I'll come. He smiled. Not his public smile. Something smaller, more genuine. "Good. I'll send details." He reached out and tucked a loose strand of her hair behind her ear. His fingers brushed her cheek. Every nerve in her body lit up. "Good night, Thandiwe," he said. Then he was walking away, back to the car, leaving her standing at her door with her heart racing. This was fake, she reminded herself. All fake. He was acting. But it felt real, dangerously real. Inside her apartment, Thandiwe checked her phone. 15 missed calls from Amara, dozens of messages, and her business email had 3 new inquiries, all from people asking about her event planning services, all mentioning they'd heard about her from mutual connections. Tae-yun was already keeping his promise. She was answering emails when her phone rang. Unknown number. "Hello? Miss Moyo. My name is Kim Sun-young. I'm Mr. Kwok's grandmother." Thandiwe's stomach dropped. "Oh, hello. I'd like to meet you. Tomorrow. 2 p.m. I'll send the address. I'm not sure if I'm free." "Make yourself free. This isn't a request." The line went dead. Thandiwe stared at her phone. This couldn't be good. She texted Tae-yun. "Your grandmother just called me." He responded immediately. "What did she say?" "She wants to meet me tomorrow." It didn't sound optional. "It's not. I'll come with you." "She didn't invite you." "I'm coming anyway." Thandiwe set down her phone and tried to calm her racing heart. One day into this fake relationship, and she was already meeting the grandmother. The grandmother who, according to those articles, ran the family business before Tae-yun took over. The grandmother who supposedly had connections to every powerful person in Seoul. The grandmother who probably hated the idea of her grandson dating a black woman from Zimbabwe. This was going to be a disaster. But before Thandiwe could spiral too far into anxiety, her phone buzzed again. Tae-yun. Don't worry, I won't let her intimidate you. How do you know I'm worried? Because I know my grandmother. And I'm worried too. At least he was honest. Thandiwe tried to sleep, but her mind wouldn't stop racing. Tomorrow she'd face the matriarch of the Kwok family, the woman who probably had the power to end this arrangement with one word. What had she gotten herself into? And why did part of her not want it to end? The next day, at exactly 1:45 p.m., Tae-yun picked her up himself. No driver, no bodyguard, just him in a black car looking tense. Ready? He asked when she got in. Absolutely not. Let's go anyway. He almost smiled. She's gonna try to scare you. Don't let her. What if she succeeds? Then we'll deal with it together. Together. Like they were actually a team. Thandiwe looked out the window as they drove. Why does she want to meet me? To assess if you're a threat. A threat to what? Her plans for me, my future, the family legacy. Take your pick. I'm fake dating you for 1 month. How is that threatening? Tae-yun was quiet for a moment. Then he said, because she's not stupid. She'll know this might not stay fake. Thandiwe's heart skipped. What's that supposed to mean? Nothing. Forget I said it. But she couldn't forget it. The words hung between them the rest of the drive. They pulled up to a traditional Korean house in an expensive neighborhood. Beautiful garden, stone pathways, the kind of place that had been in a family for generations. This is where you grew up? Thandiwe asked. Part of the time. My grandmother still lives here. Refuses to move into anything modern. They walked to the door. A woman in traditional dress opened it before they could knock. She bowed deeply to Tae-yun, gave Thandiwe a careful once-over, and led them inside. The interior was stunning. Traditional architecture mixed with priceless antiques. Art on the walls that belonged in museums. An older woman sat in the main room, probably in her late 70s, dressed in an elegant hanbok, her white hair perfectly styled. She had Tae-yun's eyes, sharp and missing nothing. Grandmother, Tae-yun said, bowing slightly. Tae-yun, I told the girl to come alone. And I came anyway. The grandmother's lips twitched, almost a smile. Stubborn, like your father. Her eyes moved to Thandiwe. So you're the one causing all this gossip. Thandiwe bowed. Kim Sun Young Halmione, thank you for inviting me. I didn't invite you. I summoned you. There's a difference. The old woman gestured to the cushions across from her. Sit, both of you. They sat. Thandiwe tried not to fidget under that sharp gaze. You're from Africa, the grandmother said. Zimbabwe, yes. And you've been in Seoul for 5 years, working as an event planner. Yes. Not very successful, from what I hear. You've lost several major clients recently. Thandiwe's cheeks burned. I've had some setbacks. Setbacks. The grandmother's tone made it clear what she thought of that word. And now you're dating my grandson. How convenient. Grandmother. Tae-yun's voice carried a warning. I'm simply stating facts. This girl appears in Tae-yun's life right when her business is failing. Within days, she's attending events on his arm, meeting his associates. It's very strategic. It's not like that, Thandiwe said. Isn't it? Then tell me, what is it like? Thandiwe looked at Tae-yun. He gave her a small nod. Your call, the gesture said. She turned back to the grandmother. I care about your grandson. Whether you believe that or not is your choice. Care about him or care about his money and connections? Grandmother, that's enough, Tae-yun said sharply. No, it's fine, Thandiwe said. She met the old woman's eyes directly. You don't know me. You don't trust me. I understand that. But I'm not using Tae-yun. I'm not some gold digger looking for a rich husband. Then what are you looking for? Good question. What was she looking for? Honestly, I don't know yet. But I know I make him smile. And from what I can tell, not many people do that. The grandmother's expression shifted. Just slightly. You're bold. I'll give you that. I've had to be. Being a black woman in Seoul requires boldness every single day. I imagine it does? The grandmother was quiet for a moment. Then she said, My grandson is important, not just to this family, but to many people in Seoul. His choices matter. Who he associates with matters. I understand. Do you? Do you understand that dating him makes you a target? That people will try to use you, hurt you, manipulate you to get to him? Thandiwe thought about the photographer last night, the cruel comments online. Hyejin's barely concealed hostility. I'm starting to, she said quietly. The grandmother's expression softened a fraction. You seem like a nice girl, smart, hard-working, but nice and smart aren't enough in this world. What is enough? Strength, steel, the ability to stand in fire and not burn. The old woman looked at Ta-Yun. Does she have that? Yes, Tae-Yun said without hesitation. She does. The certainty in his voice made Thandiwe's heart do something complicated. The grandmother stood. We'll see. Time reveals all truths. She looked at Thandiwe. You may come to family dinner on Sunday. 6 p.m. Don't be late. It wasn't an invitation. It was a command. Thank you, Thandiwe managed. The grandmother walked out without another word. Tae-Yun stood, helped Thandiwe up. They walked back to the car in silence. Once inside, Thandiwe let out a breath she'd been holding. That was terrifying. You did well. She hates me? She doesn't hate you. She's just protecting me, in her own harsh way. Does she know this is fake? Tae-Yun started the car. I honestly don't know. My grandmother sees more than she should. They drove for a while. Then Thandiwe said, Sunday dinner with your family. That wasn't part of the deal. I know. You don't have to go. She'll think I'm weak if I don't. Probably. Then I'm going. Tae-Yun glanced at her. You don't have to prove anything to her. Yes, I do. To her. To all those people at the gala. To myself. She looked at him. I'm not running away just because things get hard. He smiled. A real smile. Okay then. Sunday dinner. Fair warning, my father will be there. My uncle. My younger sister. They're all complicated in different ways. Wonderful, I can't wait. He laughed. Actually laughed. The sound filled the car and made something warm spread through Thandiwe's chest. This was still fake, she reminded herself. Still just business. But every day, that felt less and less true. And that scared her more than Tae-Yun's grandmother ever could. The days before Sunday dinner passed in a blur. Thandiwe attended 2 more events with Tae-Yun, a gallery opening where she met 3 potential clients, a business lunch where she actually enjoyed herself despite the constant stares. Her phone rang constantly now. Event inquiries, interview requests from magazines. Even a small television show wanted her to talk about wedding planning trends. Her business was exploding, all because of Tae-Yun. But something else was happening too, something she hadn't planned for. She was starting to look forward to seeing him, not for the business benefits, not for the revenge against Minho, who'd apparently seen all the photos and tried to call her twice. She ignored both calls. She looked forward to seeing Tae-Yun because he made her laugh, because he listened when she talked, because when they were alone in the car between events, he dropped the cold businessman mask and became someone real, someone she actually liked. That was a problem. On Saturday night, Amara came over with wine and concern. You're falling for him, Amara said, pouring them both a glass. Don't even try to deny it. I'm not falling for him. We're friends. Friends don't look at each other the way you two look at each other in these photos. We're acting. Nobody's that good an actor. Amara pulled up her phone, showed Thandiwe a photo from the gallery opening. Tae-yun was looking at Thandiwe while she talked to someone else. The expression on his face was soft, unguarded. Thandiwe's heart squeezed. That doesn't mean anything. It means everything. Thandi, what happens in 3 weeks when this arrangement ends? We go back to our normal lives. And you're okay with that? Thandiwe sipped her wine. I have to be okay with that. This was never real. We both agreed. Agreements change. Feelings change. Not in 3 weeks. Amara gave her a look. You really believe that? Thandiwe didn't answer, because honestly, she didn't know what she believed anymore. Sunday arrived too quickly. Thandiwe changed outfits 4 times before settling on a simple black dress. Conservative, but elegant. She wanted to make a good impression. Why did she care so much about impressing Tae-yun's family? This was fake, temporary. It shouldn't matter. But it did. Tae-yun picked her up at 5:30. He looked nervous. Actually nervous. She'd never seen him nervous before. That bad? She asked as she got in the car. My family is complicated. My father is cold. My uncle is calculating. My sister is the only normal one, and even she has her moments. What about your grandmother? She'll be watching everything. Every word, every gesture, every interaction. No pressure then. He glanced at her. We can still cancel. Say you're sick. And prove I'm weak? Absolutely not. That made him smile. Stubborn. You're one to talk. The drive to his grandmother's house felt shorter this time, or maybe Thandiwe just wished it was longer. They walked in together. Tae-yun's hand found the small of her back, a gesture that was becoming familiar, comforting. The dining room was formal, traditional, a long table set with expensive dishes. Tae-yun's father sat at the head. He was an older version of Tae-yun. Same sharp features, same intense eyes, but harder, colder. Next to him sat a man who had to be the uncle. Similar features, but calculating eyes that assessed Thandiwe like she was a business deal. A young woman around Thandiwe's age sat across from them, pretty, fashionable, watching Thandiwe with open curiosity. The sister, and at the other end, the grandmother, observing everything. Father, Tae-yun said with a slight bow. Uncle Minho, Ji-woo. He gestured to Thandiwe. This is Thandiwe. Welcome, the father said. His tone was neutral, giving nothing away. Thank you for having me, Thandiwe said, bowing politely. Sit, the grandmother commanded. They sat. Thandiwe next to Tae-yun, across from Ji-woo. Dinner was served immediately. Multiple courses, traditional Korean dishes. Thandiwe knew how to use chopsticks, had practiced for years, but her hands still felt clumsy under all those watching eyes. So, Thandiwe, the uncle said, Tae-yun tells us you're an event planner. Yes, I specialize in luxury weddings and corporate events. Interesting career choice, competitive field. Very competitive. But I enjoy the challenge. I'm sure you do. And you met Tae-yun how exactly? Here it was, the interrogation. Through mutual connections, Thandiwe said, repeating the line they'd practiced. What connection specifically? Tae-yun's hand found hers under the table, squeezed. Does it matter? Tae-yun said. We met. We connected. That's what's important. I'm simply curious, the uncle said. It's unusual for you to bring someone to family dinner. You've never done it before. Because I've never met anyone worth bringing before. The table went quiet. Ji-woo grinned. Oh, this is getting good. Ji-woo, behave, the grandmother said sharply. I'm just saying, it's nice to see Appa actually interested in someone. Usually he treats dates like business transactions. This is a business transaction, the father said coldly. He's using her, to deflect marriage proposals from appropriate families. Thandu's stomach dropped. Tae-yun's whole body went rigid. Careful, father. I'm stating facts. This girl appears out of nowhere. Within a week, she's all over the media with you. It's strategic, calculated. Very unlike you to choose someone so publicly unsuitable. Father. Tae-yun's voice was ice, but Thandiwe stood up. She couldn't sit there and listen to this anymore. Thank you for dinner, she said quietly. But I should go. Sit down, the grandmother commanded. Halmione, with respect, I don't think that's a good idea. I said sit. Something in the old woman's voice made Thandiwe sit. The grandmother turned to her son. You're being rude. Apologize. I'm being honest. You're being cruel. There's a difference. The grandmother looked at Thandiwe. My son is protective of Tae-yun. Too protective. He forgets Tae-yun is a grown man who can make his own choices. Even bad choices, the father said. Enough, Tae-yun said. He stood up, pulled Thandiwe to her feet. We're leaving. Tae-yun, don't be dramatic, the uncle said. Dramatic? You invited her here to insult her, to test her, to see if you could break her. Tae-yun's voice was controlled fury. Well, congratulations. You're all exactly as terrible as I told her you'd be. Ji-woo stood up too. Oppa, wait. I'm sorry. They're being horrible. Please don't leave. But Tae-yun was already walking out, still holding Thandiwe's hand. They made it to the car before Thandiwe started shaking. I'm sorry, Tae-yun said. His hands gripped the steering wheel. I'm so sorry. I knew they'd be difficult, but that was unacceptable. Your father called me unsuitable. My father is an ass. He thinks this is fake. Tae-yun went very still. What? He said you're using me to deflect marriage proposals, that it's strategic, calculated. Thandiwe looked at him. He's right, isn't he? That's exactly what this is. Tae-yun didn't answer, and his silence hurt more than his father's words. Take me home, Thandiwe said quietly. Thandiwe, let me explain. There's nothing to explain. Your father said it perfectly. I'm a business transaction, a strategy. I knew that going in. I just forgot for a while. It's not like that, isn't it? She turned to him. Be honest. Did you sit next to me at that wedding by accident? His jaw tightened. Tae-yun, did you? No, he said finally. It wasn't an accident. Her heart cracked. How long had you been planning it? I'd seen you at events before, noticed you. When I heard you'd be at your ex's wedding, I thought it might be an opportunity. An opportunity to find a convenient fake girlfriend. An opportunity to meet you properly, away from work, away from expectations. By manipulating a vulnerable moment. By offering help when you needed it. Which you did. He wasn't wrong, but it still felt like a betrayal. Take me home, she said again. This time he drove. They didn't speak the entire way. At her apartment, Thandiwe got out without looking at him. Thandiwe, wait. She stopped but didn't turn around. I know you're angry. You have every right to be. But this stopped being fake for me weeks ago. Her breath caught. What? These past few days, the dinners, the conversations, the way you make me laugh. None of that was an act. I wasn't pretending. She turned around slowly. Then what were you doing? Falling for you. Terribly. Completely. Against every rule we set. Her heart hammered. You can't just say that. Why not? It's true. Because in 2 weeks this ends. We agreed. 1 month, and then we're done. Agreements can change. Not this one. You wanted a business arrangement. You got one. Don't change the terms now. She walked into her building before he could respond, before she could see his expression, before she could take back her words and tell him she was falling too. Inside her apartment, Thandiwe finally let herself cry. Stupid. She'd been so stupid. letting herself feel things, letting her guard down, forgetting this was all performance. Her phone buzzed. Tai Yun calling. She declined it. He called again. 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 Finally, she turned off her phone and went to bed. She woke up Monday morning to someone knocking on her door. Thandiwe stumbled out of bed, checked the peephole. Ji Woo stood there with coffee and pastries. Thandiwe opened the door. "How did you get my address?" "Appa gave it to me. Can I come in?" "I come bearing apology, coffee, and explanations." Against her better judgment, Thandiwe let her in. Ji Woo looked around the apartment. "Nice place. Small, but nice. It's home. I like it. Very you." Ji Woo set down the coffee and pastries. "Okay, so first, I'm sorry about last night. Our father is terrible. Our uncle is worse. And our grandmother is complicated. You don't have to apologize for them. Someone should. They were out of line." Ji Woo sat on the couch. "But I'm also here to tell you something important about my brother." Thandiwe sat down carefully. "What about him?" "He's not who you think he is. I mean, he is, but he's also more than that." Ji Woo paused. "Our family business isn't entirely legal. You probably figured that out." "I had suspicions. Tae-yun took over when our father retired. He's been trying to legitimize everything, make it clean. But it's hard to escape our family's reputation." "Why are you telling me this?" "Because Tae-yun won't. He's too proud, too protective. He doesn't want you involved in the messy parts of his life." Ji Woo looked at her seriously. "But you should know what you're getting into. If this thing between you is real." "It's not real. It's an arrangement." Ji Woo laughed. "Girl, please. I've seen the way my brother looks at you. That's not an arrangement. That's a man in love." Thandiwe's chest tightened. "He can't be in love with me. We barely know each other." "Sometimes knowing happens fast. Sometimes you just recognize someone. That's romantic nonsense." "Maybe. But I saw Appa's face when you left last night. He looked destroyed. I've never seen him look like that over anyone." Thandiwe didn't know what to say to that. Ji Woo stood up. "Look, I'm not trying to pressure you. If you want to end this arrangement, that's your choice. But don't end it, because our family is terrible. End it, because you actually want to, not because you're scared." After Ji Woo left, Thandiwe sat alone with her coffee and too many thoughts. Was she scared? Yes, absolutely. Terrified. But of what exactly? Of getting hurt? Of falling for someone whose world was dangerous and complicated? Or of admitting she'd already fallen? Her phone rang. She'd turned it back on after Ji Woo left. Unknown number. "Hello. Miss Moyo, my name is Detective Park. I'd like to ask you some questions about Kwak Tae-yun." Thandiwe's blood went cold. "What kind of questions?" "The kind better discussed in person. Can you come to the station this afternoon?" "Am I in trouble?" "Not yet. But you might be if you're not careful." He hung up. Thandiwe stared at her phone. A detective. The police wanted to talk to her about Tae-yun. This was bad. Really bad. She called Tae-yun. He answered on the first ring. "Thandiwe, thank God. I've been trying to reach you all night." "A detective just called me. Detective Park. He wants to ask me questions about you." Tae-yun swore. "Don't go. Don't talk to him." "I can't ignore the police." "Yes, you can. Trust me on this. Detective Park has been trying to find anything he can use against my family for years. He'll twist whatever you say." "Tae-yun, what's going on? What aren't you telling me?" Silence. "Tae-yun. Where are you?" "I'm coming over. We need to talk, really talk, about everything." 20 minutes later, Tae-yun arrived. He looked like he hadn't slept. His hair was messy, his shirt wrinkled. He looked almost human. "Tell me everything," Thandiwe said once they were inside. "Right now." No more secrets. He ran his hands through his hair. My family built their fortune on illegal businesses. Gambling, nightclubs, protection. My grandfather and father were criminals, basically. Very successful criminals, but criminals. And you? I inherited everything when my father retired 5 years ago. I've been trying to clean it up, make it legitimate. But it's complicated. People don't want to let go, including some members of my own family. Your uncle? He thinks I'm weak, that I'm destroying everything they built. He's been fighting me every step. And Detective Park? He wants to bring down our family. He's not wrong to want that. We've done terrible things. But I'm trying to change that, and he doesn't believe me. Thandiwe processed this. So dating me, being seen with me, does that help you somehow? It makes me look normal, settled, less threatening, which gives me room to make changes without as much scrutiny. So I am a strategy. You were, he stepped closer. But that changed. You changed everything. How? Because you're real. You don't want anything from me except honesty. You challenge me. You make me want to be better. Not for the business, not for my reputation. For you. Her heart was racing. Tae-yun. I know this is complicated. I know my world is dangerous. I know I'm asking too much. But I need you to know that what I feel for you is real, completely real. We agreed 1 month. Then let's renegotiate. To what? To something real, actually dating. No performance, no arrangement. Just you and me figuring this out. Thandiwe wanted to say yes. Every part of her wanted to say yes. But reality crashed back in. There's a detective investigating you. Your family hates me. Your uncle thinks you're weak. People online call me a gold digger every day. This isn't a fairy tale, Tae-yun. This is real life. Complicated, messy, dangerous real life. I know. But I also know I don't want to go back to my life before you. The loneliness, the constant performance, never trusting anyone. You barely know me. I know enough. I know you're brave and stubborn and kind. I know you make me laugh. I know when I'm with you, I feel like I can actually breathe. Thandiwe's eyes burned. This is crazy. Completely crazy. It might not work. Probably won't. Your family will make my life hell. Absolutely. So why would I agree to this? He smiled. That soft, genuine smile that transformed his whole face. Because maybe, possibly, you feel the same way I do. Did she? Was that what this feeling was? This terrifying, exhilarating, consuming thing in her chest. Before she could answer, his phone rang. He ignored it. It rang again. And again. Finally, he looked. It's Ji-woo. Something's wrong, he answered. Listened. His face went pale. I'll be right there. He hung up. I have to go. There's been an incident at one of the clubs. Someone got hurt. How badly? Badly enough that the police are involved. I'm sorry. I have to deal with this. Go. Be safe. He paused at the door. This conversation isn't over. I know. He left. Thandiwe stood in her apartment, her mind spinning. An incident. Police. Someone hurt. This was Tae-yun's world. Violence and danger and police investigations. Could she really be part of that? Her phone rang again. Detective Park. This time she answered. Miss Moyo, have you reconsidered my offer to talk? What do you want to know? How much do you know about Kwak Tae-yun's business activities? Not much. We've only been dating a few weeks. Dating? Is that what you call it? His tone was skeptical. Miss Moyo, I'll be direct. Kwak Tae-yun is under investigation. So is his family. Anyone close to him will be scrutinized. That includes you. Fear crawled up her spine. I haven't done anything illegal. Not yet. But association with the Kwak family has destroyed careers, reputations, lives. I'm offering you a way out. Talk to me. Tell me what you've seen, what you know. I don't know anything. I think you know more than you realize. Think about it, Miss Moyo. When this investigation goes public, and it will, do you want to be standing next to him or far away from the blast radius? He hung up. Thandiwe sat down heavily. The detective's words echoed in her head. Destroyed careers, reputations, lives. She'd worked so hard to build her business. 5 years in Seoul, fighting for every client, every opportunity. One association with a criminal investigation could destroy all of it. But walking away from Tae-yun meant walking away from the first person in years who made her feel something real. Her phone buzzed. A text from Tae-yun. The situation is under control. No one's seriously hurt. But I need to stay here for a while. Can we talk tonight? She texted back. Yes. Then she made a decision. If this story has you hooked, and you need to know what happens next, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. Trust me, you won't want to miss where this goes. Drop a comment telling me if you think Thandiwe should trust Tae-yun or run far away. That evening, Tae-yun came to her apartment looking exhausted. Tell me what happened, Thandiwe said. Fight at one of the clubs. 2 drunk idiots arguing over something stupid. One pulled a knife. Security intervened, but someone got cut. Not life-threatening, but enough to bring the police. Will there be charges? Against the guy with the knife, yes. Against my club, hopefully not. We have cameras, witnesses, proof our security followed protocol. He sat down heavily. But Detective Park showed up, started asking questions, making implications. He called me again. After you left. Tae-yun looked up sharply. What did you say to him? Nothing. But he warned me. Said associating with you could destroy my career, my reputation, my life. He's not wrong. I know. They sat in silence. Finally, Thandiwe said, I need you to be completely honest with me. Are you doing anything illegal right now? Currently, actively, today? No, I swear. Everything I run now is legitimate, clean, legal. But your family's past isn't. No. And some people in my organization wish we'd go back to the old ways. My uncle especially. He's been fighting me on every change. Could he be doing something illegal without you knowing? Tae-yun's jaw tightened. It's possible. Likely, even. I've been trying to root out the corruption, but it's deep. Generational. So, even if you're clean, your family name isn't. Exactly. Thandu stood up, paced her small living room. I need to think about this. Really think. I understand. Do you? Because my entire life is in Seoul. My business, my apartment, my friends. If this investigation becomes public, if my name gets connected to it, I could lose everything. As a black woman in this city, I already face enough discrimination. Adding criminal association to that. She shook her head. I might have to leave Korea entirely. I would never let that happen. You can't control it. That's the point. You're trying to clean up your family's mess, but you don't fully control it. Your uncle is working against you. The police are investigating. Someone at that club tonight had a knife. This isn't theoretical danger, Tae-yun. This is real. He stood up. You're right. About all of it. My world is dangerous, messy, complicated, and you deserve better than that. Her heart squeezed. That's not what I'm saying. Isn't it? You're saying you might have to leave Korea because of me, that your career could be destroyed because of association with me. That's not fair to you. Life isn't fair. No. But I can be. I can make the right choice here. He moved toward the door. I'll release a statement tomorrow. Say we broke up. Amicably. You'll be free of association. Detective Park will leave you alone. Your business will be safe. Tae-yun, wait. He stopped. Is that what you want? She asked quietly. What I want doesn't matter. What's safe for you matters. I'm asking what you want." He turned around. His eyes were raw, vulnerable. "I want you. I want to see where this goes. I want to introduce you to my sister properly, win over my grandmother, tell my father to go to hell. I want to take you to dinner without it being a performance. I want to know what you look like first thing in the morning. I want everything." Tears pricked Thandiwe's eyes. "That's terrifying." "I know. I could get hurt, professionally, personally, in every way possible. I know, and I would spend every day trying to prevent that. But I can't promise it won't happen. I can only promise I'll be there when it does." She looked at him, really looked at him. This man who'd walked into her life at her lowest moment, who'd held her hand at her ex's wedding, who'd defended her against photographers and family and social judgment, who looked at her like she was worth fighting for. "I'm scared," she admitted. "Me too. I've been left before, abandoned. I don't think I could survive it again. I'm not him. I'm not Minho. I don't run when things get hard. How do I know that? You don't. That's what trust is, a leap without guarantee." Thandiwe wiped her eyes. "This is the worst sales pitch ever." He laughed shakily. "I'm not trying to sell you anything. I'm just being honest. I know. That's why it's working." His expression shifted. "What? I'm still scared, still worried about my business, and the investigation and everything else. But I don't want you to release that statement. I don't want this to end. Thandiwe, I want to see where this goes, really goes. Not fake, not performance, actually real." He crossed the room in 3 steps, stopped just in front of her. "Are you sure?" "Absolutely not. But I'm doing it anyway." He cupped her face gently. "I promise I will do everything I can to protect you. Your business, your reputation, your heart. That's a big promise. I'm a man of my word." Then he kissed her, soft and gentle and real, nothing performative about it. Just them, in her apartment, choosing each other despite everything. When they pulled apart, Thandiwe was smiling. "So what now? Now we figure it out. Together. One day at a time. What about Detective Park? I'll handle him. What about your business? I'll handle that. My family? We'll handle them together." He smiled. "I like the sound of that." They spent the rest of the evening talking. Really talking. About everything. His childhood, her journey to Korea, his plans for the business, her dreams for her company. About fears and hopes and the terrifying possibility of something real. At midnight, Tai Yun's phone buzzed. He checked it and frowned. "I have to go. Uncle called an emergency family meeting." "At midnight?" "My family doesn't operate on normal schedules." He stood reluctantly. "I'll call you tomorrow?" "You better." At the door, he kissed her again. "Thank you." "For what?" "For taking a chance on me, on us." "Thank you for being worth the chance." After he left, Thandiwe stood in her apartment feeling terrified and exhilarated, and more alive than she'd felt in months. This was crazy. Absolutely crazy. But maybe crazy was exactly what she needed. Her phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "You should have listened to me, Miss Moyo. You're making a mistake." Detective Park. A chill ran down her spine. Was he watching her apartment? How did he know Tai Yun had just left? Another text. This one from Tai Yun. "Emergency meeting is about the investigation. Uncle Minho is panicking. Something big is happening. I'll explain tomorrow. Lock your doors tonight." Lock her doors, because danger was real. Thandiwe checked all her locks twice, then sat on her couch, hugging a pillow, wondering what she'd gotten herself into. But despite the fear, despite the uncertainty, despite everything, She didn't regret her choice. She was choosing Tae-yun, choosing possibility over safety, choosing to trust again even though she'd been burned before. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, the investigation, the family drama, the public scrutiny. But tonight, she'd chosen love over fear. And that felt like enough. Her phone buzzed one more time. Tae-yun again. Whatever happens, we face it together. Sleep well. Dream of me. She smiled despite everything. Then she texted back. Already am. Outside her window, Seoul glittered with lights. Somewhere in that city, Tae-yun was dealing with family drama. Detective Park was building his case. Enemies were circling. But Thandiwe had spent 5 years in this city, learning to stand strong, learning to fight for what she wanted, learning that being underestimated was sometimes an advantage. She'd walked into that wedding alone and humiliated. Now she had someone who stood beside her, who saw her, who chose her. Whatever came next, they'd face it together. And maybe, just maybe, that would be enough. The story was far from over. In fact, it was just beginning. But for tonight, in this moment, Thandiwe let herself feel hopeful. Because sometimes, hope was the bravest choice of all. And Thandiwe Moyo had never been afraid of being brave. She just needed to remember that when the real challenges started, which, given the look of those text messages from Detective Park, would probably be very soon. But that was tomorrow's problem. Tonight, she'd allow herself this one moment of peace, of possibility, of believing that maybe, against all odds, this crazy arrangement could become something beautiful. Her phone lit up with notifications, social media mentions, comments on photos. The world was watching, judging, speculating. Let them watch. Let them judge. She knew the truth. She knew what she felt. She knew what she'd chosen. Everything else was just noise. Thandiwe turned off her phone, climbed into bed, and let herself smile in the darkness. Tomorrow would bring whatever it would bring. But tonight, she'd chosen love. And that made her braver than she'd ever been. The city lights filtered through her curtains. Seoul never really slept. Neither did its secrets. But Thandiwe was learning that some secrets were worth keeping. Some risks were worth taking. Some people were worth fighting for. Kwak Tae-yun was all three. She just hoped she was strong enough for what came next. Because in her heart, she knew this was only the beginning. The real story was about to start. And it would test everything she thought she knew about love, trust, and survival in a world that wasn't built for people like her. But she was ready. At least, she hoped she was. Only time would tell. And in Seoul, time revealed all truths. She just had to be ready when it did. If you made it this far, you're obviously invested in Thandiwe and Tae-yun's story. Do me a favor and subscribe so you don't miss new stories. See you in the next one.